Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. I am excited to be sharing with you guys once again today on the podcast Beautiful. And before I go any further, my name is Leanne, and today's title is Strength in Beauty. Right. So, to jump right in, just like anything we have, or most things that we have a certain level of control over those things. It could be our money, our time, our clothes. We have a certain level of control over those things. We can invest in them, we can build, we can destroy, we can deteriorate. And I think that's the same thing when it comes to beauty. And I would go so far as to say that beauty is a talent, and just like any other, we all have some investing to do. So no matter the age, you will agree with me that there are still some people who, even though they are much older, they still carry some beauty with them. And if you have seen as well, on the flip side, there are other people who who might have just let themselves go along the course of life in general, maybe because of certain events or certain circumstances. And this just shows the difference between two people. And it's not like, oh, the other person is just lucky, or oh, the other person is just blessed. But there's a certain level of investing, of control that goes into that. So today, we'll be talking about controlling your beauty. And this will be on a fundamental level. I know that we can control our beauty by the things we wear, by the clothes we wear, by the foods we eat or exercise. But today I will be touching on something that is, I'll be touching on in controlling our beauty on a fundamental, on a very basic level. So I recently found or confirmed that our faces change. And I know that sounds a little funny or like kind of dumb, because how else then would we grow, right, Leanne, if our faces don't change? I know, right? But I mean that even over a short space of time. For example, if I go to bed and I wake up the following morning, my face looks quite a little bit different compared to how it looked when I actually went to sleep, or after I freshen up and take a shower and get ready for the day. So before I go any further, I would like to share a verse from Proverbs chapter 17, verse 22. And it says, "A merry heart makes a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart, the spirit is broken." And I really loved this verse because I saw a correlation between just a happy person and how they look. That is the countenance, right? So I've noticed that this is actually true. In case, maybe if you've ever seen or met maybe a woman who's been left by her husband, maybe for example, or a man who's been conned or scammed of all of his money or all of his assets, and maybe somebody who just got very painfully deserted or like dumped by her boyfriend or by her girlfriend, somebody who's been abused. All these people who have been hurt have something in common, and it is just their light, the way they look. It just dims. There's just something about the way they look that is different from a person who has everything that's going good and that's working well and together. So this is where I would actually like to circle on today. That is the effect of, and I'm trying to look for a different word, but I think the most common word, instead of maybe using unease, is stress. You know, the effect of a stressed mind or a stressed heart on how we look. That is externally, right? So, I'll give an illustration using the sun. We all need the sun, right? We all need the sun to live. And if the sun was to stop shining, everything would die, including us. And in the same way, we all have a light which shines within us. And that light is called a countenance, which is the countenance that was being talked about in Proverbs, according to me. Right. So how then how bright or how dim that countenance or that light is depends on us. We can dim it by negative tendencies like stress, worry, and fear, but we can also cultivate and invest in it by things like joy, peace, courage, laughter, you name it, right? And so, from what I've seen, this countenance and this light, I'm not saying maybe good people or something like that, but just this attitude towards things, towards life. To me, I have seen that it is the ultimate and defining factor of beauty in whatever sphere, right? I've noticed that when we're emotionally or mentally or spiritually unwell or stressed, even our bodies respond, right? When we're stressed, our bodies protect the functionality of most vital organs. It regulates our blood pressure. It makes sure that our sugar levels are where they're supposed to be. Whereas the skin and its radiance, the body looks at that like later when every other important thing is taken care of. So at the end, when we continuously are under stress, we put our bodies in a position that is ready to always protect the vital. And as a result, other elements such as our skin and radiance are neglected. And this can actually speed up our aging processes. You might find that there are some people that you know who might look a little older, or who might develop wrinkles much earlier on. Of course, there are things like DNA and other factors that might be involved, but this is another factor, right? So this is what I'll be circling on today. On a fundamental level, before we put on any makeup, before we put on any clothes, I think that it's important to talk about an internal stability, right? In case you've ever noticed that sometimes somebody can tell you, oh, there's this nice cream. I tried it on my face. It's so good. It works so great. And you go and try that cream. It doesn't work on you. And then maybe somebody else says, girl, this is it. This will take care of all of your problems. You try it again and it still doesn't work, right? This could be one of the reasons why. Because if we have an internal unease, our bodies are always on fight mode. Our hormones are continuously, just flying all over. And this actually reminded me or made me realize what a certain portion in the Bible was talking about, or what it actually meant. There's something that God brings out in the Bible around beauty as well. And this element, he said that it's what's precious in his sight. And it's a gentle and quieted spirit. And obviously, I personally don't think that it pertained to just being quiet, like closing your mouth all the time. But I think this is someone whose beauty is adorned by internal personal security, like, peace, no stress or properly handled stress, very minimal confusion or like no confusion. I think that's the quieted spirit that was being talked about. So apart from nice clothes, shoes and bags, which do have their place and importance, as we'll share about them in another episode. When we are at peace with ourselves, there's a certain countenance which we carry, or rather let me say that we glow different, right? We really do glow different when we're at peace internally within ourselves. Therefore, I think it's our responsibility to ask ourselves, to take stock of what it is that could be stressing us. If we see that, I'm not looking my best right now, I've been trying this and I've been trying that, it's good to also take stock and ask yourself, what's going on? What's stressing me? Who is it? And is this worth it? Because and what can I do about it? Because with beauty, it's just like life. We have beauty in different phases in life, and we only have those phases once a time in our lives, and it's just one shot and it's unrehearsed. So we really need to be intentional with how we take care of that phase or that season, how we enjoy it, because we have it so that we can enjoy it, right? So ultimately here, I can also say that a beautiful person is not just from this. A beautiful person is not just someone who is not a fragile person. Usually when you say, we usually associate beauty with fragility. But beauty is not fragile. It's actually fueled by strength, which is what I'm trying to bring out here, and also seeing as I'm bringing it out that gentle and quieted spirit. It's not a fragile thing. It's not an easy thing. It's more like an art. I'd say the art of guarding your heart above all things. It's just watching your emotions, watching your mental and spiritual strength, because it's out of that heart, it's out of this, that our life and most importantly, our beauty flows. It's how we actually glow. Right. So, I don't know if you can actually see someone who doesn't necessarily have a flawless skin or doesn't have a perfect nose, whatever that means. But they're still so beautiful. And before I continue, I hope that we're not comparing ourselves with other people, because our beauty is as unique as our fingerprint. If we can never compare ourselves to other people, we are so different. Even twins are beautiful in a different way. Even if they were identical, their beauty is still different because they're different people, right? So I hope we don't compare ourselves to other people. That is completely a waste of time, if I would just put it like that. So yeah, so before we put on any cute shoes or dress or jeans or makeup, fundamentally, I hope we can put on a beautiful spirit from within by doing what's necessary to protect our mind, to doing, to do, if it means removing certain tendencies, certain people out of our lives, that's what we need to do before we try to become beautiful using other means. I think this is the most fundamental or the most basic way of beginning a journey on beauty, or revitalizing your beauty, right? And by this, I'm not trying to promote vanity, like, spending hours on the mirror. But I think beauty is an important gift that God gave us. Maybe if we had, I think that if we had a beautiful Delilah in the church, maybe Samson wouldn't wouldn't have lost his eyes with the Philistines, who knows, right? So that's, I'm trying to build to bring about that, the importance of that beauty. I'm not saying there were no beautiful people at that time, but I'm also saying that it's something that God gave us that we should also take care of. We shouldn't cast it away as if it's a sin or it's something that's bad. It's actually good, and it helps us to glorify God. And I don't know if it's a coincidence, but I've realized that a lot of women in the Bible who played key roles for God were beautiful. Sarah was very exceedingly beautiful. Rebecca, Rachel, Ruth, Esther, many of them were beautiful. And I don't think this is to do with just physical traits. Even David was handsome. Samson was handsome. Solomon was handsome. Saul was handsome. They were beautiful. And I don't think that this was to do with DNA, like, oh, God is going to choose you just because you look beautiful. No, I think that they had a serenity and an inner peace as well that added to that bucket of beauty that I talked about in the introduction, that was an investment in their beauty that took away from them